Good evening, good evening. I am Majida Bay, and I am joined this evening by my sister from Womb, Woman on Minority Businesses, Miss Pasha Sheets. How you doing, Pasha?
I'm doing wonderful today. How are you doing today, Majida?
I'm doing fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time out to be with me today, just to have a candid conversation about leaving a legacy and planning ahead. So before we actually get into that conversation, my name is Majida Bay. As I mentioned, I am your financial conductor. I help parents and professionals get on the right track for financial success and become someone both their parents and children can be proud of. And Miss Pasha from Atlanta, Georgia, is a business owner, a mom, right, hardworking. So Pasha, can you introduce yourself? Pasha, can you introduce yourself to our audience? Let them know who you are, where you're from, and what do you do?
Hi, everyone. I'm Pasha Sheep. I am a working mom of four beautiful children. Ages range from, oh goodness, uh, 13 to 27. Okay. Two girls, two boys. I also full time with corporate for customer service. I'm not allowed to say the name. I just found that out. But I've been with the company 10 years. I love what I do, customer service, assist customers. And I also branched out and I stepped out on faith and I opened my own business. I self-taught myself to create custom t-shirts as well as creating logos and different other promotional materials for businesses. My goals are to maintain all of the knowledge that I can so that I can help everybody win. That is my main goal. It doesn't matter female, male, I want you to win. Because in this day and age, we need to have the education and the knowledge to educate ourselves instead of looking for other people to give us that information.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, just real quick, four children from 13 to 27. You do not look old enough to have a 27-year-old. That is crazy. But that's awesome, Pastor. So, we had a conversation, I guess, about a week ago now, and we connected, of course, through Womb. So, for those that don't know, Womb is Woman Owned Minority Businesses. It's an organization founded here in Richmond, Virginia, by none other than Miss Maya Harris. This woman is phenomenal. She's a former educator, but she saw a gap, right? She saw that minority women business owners needed help with getting their businesses solid, right? Being stable and making sure that they have what they need in order to grow and scale, and really reach those 6 figure and 7 figure marks that all of us aspire to. But a lot of times we don't have the tools and resources. So we thank you so much, Maya. Shout out to her for connecting us and giving us an opportunity to come together and collaborate. Like, this is what this is all about. This conversation today is really just about collaboration, us being able to share our insight about what it is that we do, but also show how we can also work together to build and grow our businesses. And so, Pasha, you're a mother of four, you've worked in corporate, right? 15 years in customer service, and you love what you do. I can definitely relate to that. I love what I do in the industry that I'm in. I work in project management in the construction industry of all places. But I also became a business owner about 9.5 years ago, because I saw that, like, I wanted options, right? I wanted to be able to do more for my family. So, can you share what made you go into business for yourself?
Basically, with me being in corporate, I always looked at it as I was just a number and I wasn't a contribution to the company or an asset. I didn't feel like an asset. So I wanted to do something where I could lead the start a trend to where I could educate myself first of all to what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a passion where I could do it with my eyes closed and it didn't bother me if I was compensated or not because it was my passion. And something that I could just contribute to my community to help people to get ahead from where they were and just having a different perspective on life because everybody wants to work a 9 to 5, but you don't necessarily have to be a 9 to 5 person.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to not clock on anybody's clock. I don't want to be on nobody's clock. I want to be on my own clock. So in
Right.
order for me to do that, I had to discover like what is it that I really want to do? What is it really that moves me, that motivates me to do things for, people and for myself. First and foremost, I had to think about myself. What I wanted to do for myself that would give me joy, to give me inspiration, that will motivate myself. So I basically just dibble and dabble into different things, seeing which was, my passion. And my passion turned out to be that I love to create. I love hands-on, engaging craft. So I was like, maybe I'll just, see what I can put on the shirt and see how that works out or whatever. So I watched a zillion YouTube videos. When I say I was like up morning, noon, night, even after I got off work, I was steady looking at YouTube videos. So basically with YouTube, they give you the resources and the tools in the comments. And they
Mm-hmm.
also have you, to do everything just like them. But what I learned about me is that what worked for other people don't work for me. So I
Okay.
had to figure out what works better for me to where I can manage it. What everybody else do, it may not be my cup of tea. So
Right.
I was like, this is not for me. That ain't working for me. So I need to do something different. So what I did
Mm-hmm.
was did trials and errors. And I basically came up with my own little tips and tricks of how to manipulate and do certain things on a shirt. And also, as I was doing it, I noticed that I didn't complain about it. I wasn't like uptight or frustrated. I was happy because it was challenging to me. And it gave me that energy that I needed to create, like being in my creative zone. So I basically started with one or two shirts. Then I started to model the shirts and see how what was what. Of course, with the vinyl, it's a headache, but the more you play with it, the more it comes out right. So my trials and errors were basically up all night, eyes, closing, halfway open, looking at videos or whatever and doing it myself. But once I learned to be consistent about it, it became easy to me. And that's what I had to find my own niche, because a lot of things you do consistently is not easy. So the more you do it, you have to master it. So I mastered the different materials that I needed to master. And I also did my research. So, okay, what vinyl would work with this and what not to use and how to remove it once I put it on the shirt. And just in doing that, like, oh my God, I started for like 2 months. I said, okay, I'm gonna do a trial and error, did the shirts and see if I liked it or whatever. And I ended up liking it. Even my family was like, oh my God, you made that shirt? And I was like, yeah, I made it. I did that. I wanted something that I could call my own that was my baby. Like, this is my baby. I'm going to do everything I can to nurture, to uplift, to build. And in the process, I wanted something that I could expand to my family so that they would be able to create things for themselves and they also could profit from it if they wanted to or they didn't. And the more I did it, the more enjoyment they saw me doing it. They was like, oh, okay, you made a shirt. Okay, how you do that? Well, how you press it on the shirt? Where you get the press from? That's hot. I just kept getting all different kind of reactions. But the more I did it and they saw my enthusiasm, they were like, oh, mama made a shirt. Okay, let's see. I didn't have to pull teeth to say, hey, come with me and let me show you this and that. So basically, I I just kind of self-taught myself. And the more I did it, the more I learned, like, okay, that works better, this don't work better. And I had a lot of trial and errors. Don't get me wrong, I messed up some vinyl pretty much. But but the more I did it, the more it just was like, okay, this works. This works for me. This works for me. And I started creating different stuff, different motivational sayings, different just putting pieces together. And once you know the knowledge behind of creating the shirt, you can go with any material, but you just
Yeah.
gotta know the knowledge of actually creating a shirt. It's not just getting a shirt and putting vinyl on it and pressing it. You have
Yeah.
to actually the machines, the cutting vinyl machines. You have to get the I also do rhinestones. You have to learn that stuff. And in order for you to be a leader, you have to be a follower first. So if you're
Yes.
not a follower, you can't. I mean, you pretty much feel like you just got it going on. Oh, I know how to do this, and then you just messing stuff up, just like a little Tasmanian devil. You don't know what you're doing. You just
Well,
now. So
that's definitely been my experience as well. Like finding a mentor is so key because it's somebody who's gone down further, a little further down the path than you have yourself, and they can show you the way. They can kind of, guide your steps, and that's truly important. Especially even if you're going off into something in your own, somebody's done it before, right? Maybe they haven't done it the way that you want to do it, but they can at least, help you to shortcut your learning curve, to make sure that you're able to be successful in that industry. So let me ask you this, right? We talking about leaving a legacy and planning ahead. So this business, right? Your creative business as a creative entrepreneur, you have this business now that you can leave as a legacy. But in addition to that, what are some things that you are doing that are helping to leave a legacy for your family? And how have you planned ahead in order to do that?
okay, so one thing that I've learned about was life insurance. I had no clue to life insurance. Like, okay, what is life insurance? I don't need it. I'm not dying, so why do I need it? So that was my thinking. So what I have learned with life insurance is that you have unexpected incidents that occur. You have unexpected just accidents alone that occur. You want to be ahead than be behind. When I
Right.
say be ahead, you want to put everything in perspective. Okay, we have to do this for the family, regardless if it's one or two of y'all. Y'all need life insurance. So in the
Yeah.
event something happens, you have that coverage, and you don't have to do fundraisers and other things
Go
like
fund
that.
me.
You're
Yeah.
right. You're already covered. So my mom was the one that basically forced me to get life insurance. I was like, I don't need life insurance. What I need life insurance for. So the more I spoke with the representative that came, the more I realized, oh, okay, we do need life insurance. And it's
Yeah.
not just the life insurance. You can do like I may get the name wrong, but even if your kids are not old enough to have their own policy, they can be like a piggyback to yours. And
Yeah.
they
All right.
still yeah, a rider. Yeah. They still have life insurance. So
Mhm.
my first experience with that was I got it for myself, and then it was like, oh, you can get it for your sons and your daughters. I thought my daughter is old. And he was like, so she still can get it. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So she got her own policy. I think it's up to when they like 21 or so. I'm not sure. I'm not officially on that, but I went on and I got life insurance on everybody, even the dog. But it's important. Look, Cash needs life insurance too. Cash matter. So I basically just I love it because it helps me to make my family safe and everybody is covered. And
Yeah.
also, if you work with a company that's offering like critical illness care, what's the other one? Life they offer life insurance as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, terminal illness, because you don't know. You're saying everybody is healthy in my family, but you don't know if anything can occur to where you need that coverage. I was
Right.
like, hey, it's only like $20 out of your paycheck, for you to cover your family for like 30,000 or something like that. I was like,
Mhm.
shoot, okay, they do 38. I'm gonna sign up too. So it's it's like I have coverage on everybody, even my daughter, for critical illness. If something was
Yeah.
to happen, she was diagnosed with anything, she's covered. She don't
Yeah.
have to worry about her medical bills, her expenses, her medicine, or anything. Anything happened to me, it's the same coverage that goes with me. And it's not only because you're employed, you also can find your insurance companies that may be offering that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm glad you made that point because oftentimes our job offers something, right? They're going to offer you something. And typically it's usually about a year's of your annual salary, right? Like that's what they'll
Right,
cover
right.
you for. You can usually pay and get more coverage, but getting something outside of your job is also very important because you may not be at that job forever, right? So having something independent of that is really important. And it ties into what we're talking about leaving a legacy because you can build a business. And I love what you said about insurance in terms of it being, right, it keeps your family safe. And I always look
Mm-hmm.
at it as it gives me peace of mind. Like if I drop dead
Right,
tomorrow, God forbid, I don't have to worry
right.
about what my family's condition is going to be, right? How they're going to be able to maintain their quality of life because I have this protection in place. And what I've learned through this industry is that it's for income replacement, right? Oftentimes we
Mm-hmm.
look at it as, okay, if something happens, like you said, right, a critical illness or we passed away, prematurely, we got enough to cover final expenses. But we don't look at it a lot of times in terms of, okay, wait, this income was coming in. Like Pasha, as the breadwinner in her family, is bringing in this money every year. And if that
Mm-hmm.
stops, what do we have in place to replace that? And so
Right.
proper protection in terms of life insurance is replacing your income for 10 years, right? Or even more, 10 to 15 years. Because if you can leave your family that, they can start off on a so much better footing, right? So it can not only provide peace of mind if something happens that is unexpected, but it can also help your family to maintain long term. So planning ahead, right? That's the foundation. The way we say it in our industry, it's the
Yeah,
foundation for your
yeah,
financial.
you got to plan ahead. You got to, and then even so, like even with your kids, you can educate your kids on getting a savings account where okay, if I give you let's say you had a birthday and you got $50, you can put 25 of that in the bank so that you have that money and not spend it all at one time, or even if you want to go further, you can put $30 in there and keep your 20 for whatever you wanted to do, and learn how to maintain and spend your money accordingly instead of just looking at everything. Oh, I want to buy that. I want to buy that. I want to buy that.
Yeah.
When you're
Delaying
thinking
gratification.
wisely, you don't look at it like, oh, that's a need. That's more so of a want. It's not a need. It's not a necessity. So,
Yeah.
and also I've learned how to express, like the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, cut them lights off. You know how much my bill is? And I start putting the bill on the refrigerator. And then
Mm-hmm.
I come home and it's like all the house is black. I'm like, why is the house black? Because you put bill on the on the refrigerator. Why you turning off this? Because you showed us the water bill, so we not running no water no more. I was like, but you need water to rinse your mouth. Like, no, you showed us the water bill, so we're not using the water, so we have to rinse our mouth. And that's when you bring it to their, you
Awareness.
help
Yeah.
them to be aware. Like, this is not being free. I have to
Mm-hmm.
work, I pay the bills, and you have to contribute. If that
Right.
means you have to cut down on your TV time, or you have to unplug the laptop when it's not being in use, it's saving electricity. If you
Yeah.
don't let them know or be aware of, hey, we got bills to pay. This is not no freebie where you just at a hotel and you can run the water by the hour thinking you at the hotel in the shower. No, sir. Your shower should be at least about 8 minutes at the most. Bam, bam. So it's the things that you have to allow them to know, because as kids they don't know. They just like, oh, I can go run the water. I ain't
Yeah.
paying bills, so I ain't worried about it. But when you make it, bring it to their consciousness, like, oh, wow, that's the light bill. Yes,
Mm.
that's the light bill. Cut them lights off. If you're not using the light, if you're not in the room, cut the lights off. And it's
Absolutely.
it's like now everything is dark. When I come home, I'm like, y'all don't want me to see nothing now. Like, nah, you put the light bill on the refrigerator, so we're not messing with nothing. I was like, okay, but I'm glad that it came to them that way, so that they know this is not free.
Yeah.
Everything that we have, we own, and in order
Yeah.
for us to maintain it, we have to, sustain it. We just can't be doing whatever, and it's not a need.
Yeah. I really really love what you said about talking to your children. Like that's one of the key things for me. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old as well, and you got to start having those conversations early, and that's part of leaving that legacy. It's instilling in them. Oftentimes, unfortunately, information doesn't get passed from one generation to the next, and stuff gets missed,
Right,
right? Or you might see like your grandparent doing well financially, maybe your parents aren't, but nobody's having the conversations with the grandparents to figure out what are the things that you've done to be successful financially? What are things that you've done to prepare and plan ahead? And so we've got to start having those intergenerational conversations with our children and getting them. I said I love one of this quote from Black Panther. He said, "A man who has not prepared his children for his death has failed as a father," right? And have I ever
yep,
failed you? And so I remember that when I'm talking to my daughter, and I'm like, I'm gonna tell you, we were watching the Simone Biles story last week, and it was on Amazon Prime. But like you could rent it for $2.99 or you could buy it for $4.99. And so she was just
right,
like, "Oh, mommy, I don't want you to spend your money." I'm like, "All right, wait a minute. There's a difference here, right? This is $5, right? She's in gymnastics. I'll pay the $5 because it's an investment,
right,
right? It's something that you
right,
can
right,
learn
right,
from and you can study, right?" So she's watched it now a couple times. But there's a difference between spending versus investing. And so
right.
talking to your children and getting to understand, look, I told her all the time, look, I'm not going to always be here. And you got to be
Mhm.
prepared as a young person to be able to take care of yourself, right? And the sooner
Right,
you learn that, the better. Man, I'm going to tell you, this morning she got up. I don't even think it was 6 o'clock yet. She got up, she got dressed, she washed her face, she brushed her teeth, right? She made her lunch, she made breakfast, and then she sat back and chilled because she had time to do it. I'm like, you ain't like she
right.
ain't really got to get up till 7, but she's like, I want to
Mhm.
get to school early. So part of that's because grandma's then has given them an incentive, right? If they do what
Yeah.
they got to do, then they can go on a field trip
Oh,
later.
grandma always give incentive.
Right, right. She's in
Grandma
homeschool right
always.
now,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But that's
it's
good
having those
because
conversations is so important.
yeah, yeah, it's very important. And just, I started reading this book called Atomic Habits. I forgot the author,
Oh,
don't shoot me.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
but it is awesome and it's amazing how one little thing that you change can just change your whole narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's so
like and then just to think, what is a habit? Like, do I have good habits? Do I have bad habits? And you really don't know or distinguish what is a good habit and a bad habit until you see the result of it.
yeah,
I was just like, oh, I didn't realize that I was on Facebook like that, or oh, this is what I need to pull back from because now I'm conscious of it.
mm-hmm.
And I asked my kids, like, what are some of your habits? They were looking at me like, I ain't got no habits. Yes, you do. You
Yeah,
have a lot of habits you don't know about. So I said that to say, like, if we reverse, we can't, it's not too late to reverse bad habits, first and foremost.
yeah,
And with me reading that book, it helped me to instill a lot of different values, like that I believed in, I just didn't enforce.
right. That's so true.
And
That's true.
it helps you to incorporate, okay, I did like this. Why did I stop doing this? Or I did like this. Because as we get older, we get distracted with life
Mm-hmm.
and we don't keep up with what we started doing because life comes in and life changes the narrative. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, God is the author.
Mm,
So we have to follow him and not ourselves.
that's good.
Even though we may have distractions, we still have to stay aligned with him. So we discern that, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to be over here. I'm supposed to be over to the left.
Yeah,
Instead of me going to the right, we have to take our time and listen and tune in to him so he can keep us aligned.
I like that. That's something a
And that's
mentor of
something that,
mine says.
yeah, that's something I've noticed about myself. Like when you're out of balance, you're just everywhere. You just everywhere. You're not centered
Mm-hmm.
and you're not aligned. That means something got out of whack or something. It's time for you to go back and be centered so you can pinpoint what happened
Where
to
you're
why I
supposed to
strayed.
be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
I
something
think it's so important.
to
You know,
about.
some people may call it God, some people may call it
Mhm,
the universe, or they may call it
mhm,
right. But it really
mhm.
comes down to having a standard. Like you have to have a
Right,
standard for your life
right.
so that you
Mhm,
know
mhm,
when you're off track and when you need to get back on track. And I think that's definitely for me what my faith did for me growing up. Like I knew like this was the foundation that my value system was built on. And so if I'm off track or if I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I need to go back and check in with my value system and figure out what am
mhm.
I not doing or what am I doing that's misaligned with what I say I value, right? Being congruent. And one of my
Oh,
mentors
that's
always
good.
say it's like you got to have clarity, right? And most people just don't know what they want, right? So they just kind of drift through life
Everywhere.
and they,
Mhm.
oh well, let me try this or let me try that, and they never get clear. And sometimes you just got to get quiet. And I don't know about anybody else, but that's what 2020 did for me. It allowed me to get quiet. It allowed me to be able to like figure out what direction I'm
Yep.
supposed to be moving in, because you can get so caught up in just the hustle and bustle of the day to day and your
Mhm.
regular routine of doing things that you don't stop and think. And so I've been a lot
Right.
more intentional about like stopping, thinking, planning ahead, trying to figure out like really where do I want to be and what do I want my life to look like, and like writing it down, right? They say write the vision and make it plain, get clear,
Mhm.
and we can't use the excuse that I don't have time. Like you can't afford not to do it. At some point you just have to,
You have to
right,
make time.
make time, absolutely, and figure out
Mhm.
what is it that I need, where is it that I want to be, and what do I need to do to get there? What resources do I need? What people do I need to talk to? And like take the time to put yourself in position to make that happen. You can continue to drift, but you already know what that outcome is. You're not where you want to be.
Right.
And
Right.
the longer you drift, the further off course you're going to be. And it's going to take a lot longer to get back. So you just got to like kind of draw a line in the sand and be like, look, I need to stop. I need to pause. I need to take a step back and look at my life, right? They say it's so easy to see the picture when you're not in the frame. So like step out of the
Ooh,
frame
say
and look at
that.
your life from a
Mhm.
bird's eye view and figure out, okay, how can I improve my family relationships? How can I improve
Right.
my career prospects? Right? Like look at every area of your life. I did that actually recently with an assessment because I'm like, I need to know. Like I need to know what I want. Not what other people want for me, not what somebody's telling
Yep.
me I should do or need to do. Or right, like I'm tired of hearing the other voices. Right, like there's plenty of voices out there that'll tell you what you should and need, and like you can do all of that. You can continue to listen to those voices, but if you're not in tune with your own, then you'll just
Yep.
be drifting from one thing to the next. And so you'll have to listen for the voices that resonate with your own voice. But first, it takes getting clear and having clarity on what it is that you want. So definitely great insight that
Mhm.
you shared there. I appreciate that. So, what are some things that you're teaching your children in terms of? I know you talked about like life insurance and
Mhm.
having a business and things like that. What are some other things that you're teaching your children in order to prepare them for their future?
I have a junior, so my goal is to help him see who he want to be, not
Mm,
what other everybody else want him to be. What is it that makes you, happy? What is it that makes you excited? Because boys don't express themselves. They're more so of introverts. Whereas
mhm,
girls, like, hey, I want to do this. I got it. Da, 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 da. But boys just like, I don't know, mama. I don't know what I want to do. I'm like,
mhm,
okay, so what is it that you like? I see you like video games. You can create your own app and go from there. My goal is to give more think outside of the box ideas versus
mhm.
being in, as we were younger. Oh, you got to do this, you got to you know get
Go to
this job
school, get
and
good
have
grades.
this and go to school and get married, have kids, white picket fence and all of that. But as I
Mhm.
got old, I was like, listen, that ain't my life. That's not what I want.
Right, right. Somebody else's
I got
narrative. Yeah.
right, right. And then that's why I was like, you determine your own narrative. Of course, we make mistakes. Of course, we
Mhm,
do that. But it doesn't take any part of value from us. We're all of value. Let's just get that clear. Everybody is
mhm.
of value. So it's not like you just wandering around on the earth and not being of value. You are more of value to yourself than you know.
Yeah.
just by you existing. It's about how you make it where people see your work by you contributing, by you being an asset to someone that you can help and not hinder. It's
Mm-hmm.
a difference in helping than hinder. People say, "Oh, I want to help you. I want to help you," but what are your results?
Mm.
And it's like you have people, yeah, 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 I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna help you, but don't follow through. You have to be that person that's the person behind your word. You show action. Okay, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Rain, sleet, or snow. It
Right.
snowed for you. And that's bond. And I try to teach my kids and I instill in my kids to be humble. No matter what situation you get, $5, $10, $20, $1,000, be humble.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you no better than nobody else. What you can give, give. Don't be selfish.
Yeah.
If you see somebody in need, help. Don't act like you have it all together just by you getting one little inkling of a idea, because you have to do your research and you have to do those trials and those errors for you to be master at it.
Yeah.
And you have to become a follower before you can become a leader. So in this case, you have to take that humble pie and ask someone, hey, you know how to do so and so and so. I don't know how to do everything. I
Yeah.
have to ask. I can't, sit and don't ask no questions.
Ooh.
I'm on live. I'm, I'm sorry.
You good. Hey, look, that's the reality now. You ain't gotta hide from that. If my 2-year-old, she was just trying to pull me a little while ago into the other room. So you all right.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah. You have to have that. You know, you can't act like you arrogant or you know everything, because you don't. It's gonna be somebody that know more than you. You're gonna need that person.
Yeah.
Why not build a bond where you help each other, where you may be weak in one area, they may be strong, where they may be weak in another area, you may be strong. Well, hey, I can show you how to do this, you show me how to do that, and you just kind of swap skills to
Mm-hmm.
where everybody wins. So I try to teach them, like, be kind to everybody, even if nobody is kind to you, because being kind goes a long way.
Yeah.
You don't
You don't.
worry about that person being mean and nasty to you as long as you did what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, because
And
you're
you
gonna
go
reap.
home.
You're gonna reap what you sow, right? Not what other people, right? They're
Right,
gonna reap what
right,
they sow. So if you sowing good seeds and you're sowing
right.
kindness and humility and all of that, you're gonna reap not what you sow, but multiply what you sow, right? Because
Yeah,
you don't
it's
plant a
gonna
seed
multiply.
and
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's gonna multiply, because it's some mean people in this world. It's some real nasty people in this world. And you just be like, why you not happy? You breathing, you got all your hair, you got all, your elbows, your kneecaps, and you walking and you talking. Why not? It's what I have learned. It takes more energy to be mad and angry than it does to just smile.
Yeah.
It's people going through stuff from pillar to post, but you do
Mhm.
not see them lashing out at people. You wouldn't even know their story because they don't show it. It's like,
Yeah.
hey girl, you good? Girl, yeah. Probably done had the whole ceiling fall in. You get what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
just teach them to be kind to people, to, be humble around your elders. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yes, sir, no, sir. Because that goes a long way too. Your
Yeah.
etiquette is what speaks your character. How people see you is how they treat you.
Mm,
They see you one way, but when you open your mouth, they have a different perspective.
that's good. And that's
And
that's
you have to do that for your kids because I mean, you don't want them to be with somebody and they're doing wrong and you haven't told them, hey, this is not right. You know, your mama have you upside down. I mean, the kids, oh my God, we not even getting on them. But it's it just amazes me how certain kids don't appreciate certain people telling them stuff. It
Yeah,
goes in one ear, come out the other, and it comes from just not being exposed to different kinds of people. If you're exposed to different kind of people, you know how to adapt in that environment. But if you're just in one environment, you treat everybody like that same environment, but everybody don't get treated the same way
yeah,
because it's different approaches for everybody. So I try to just tell them like, you know, before you even with my daughter in college, she has different everything going on. Like different people, different opportunities, different promotions. I mean, it's like a broader aspect of just knowing, you know, how to adapt in your environment. You know, you
yeah,
can be in a silly environment 1 minute and then you have to be serious. You could be in a chill environment and then you have to be patient. So it's, you know, it's like it's anxious and then you patient. You have to learn how to adapt in those areas because if you don't, you're gonna stick out.
yeah. And I think that speaks to this quote from Jim Rohn. He says, "What you leave in your children is much more important than what you leave to them." And so it's
Hmm.
those values. It's right. Like I can leave my children a bunch of money, but if I don't teach them the values around managing money, they can lose it all, right? So it's teaching them those intangible things and instilling those
Yeah.
values and all of those things into them as they grow so that like you said, they appreciate it. They're grateful for what they have. You know, my daughter's writing in her journal now that she we picked up her sister from my grandmother. So right, her great grandmother today, and she showed her in her journal, she had written in there that I want my great grandmother to live until she said initially 200, then she was like 105, right? So she's 83 now, she'd be 84 on Saturday, right? But it's just
Okay.
like she's like, I'm gonna miss her if she's like not here, but you know that's what's
Right.
of value, right? Those family relationships, because that's, and in my mind, right, it's all that we can really hang our hat on, right? So improving our family relationships is key because they're going to need each other, right? So I want like not just my children to be close, but I want them to be, you know, have a good relationship with their cousins, right? So they get to spend a lot of time with them. And I want them to know their aunts and uncles, and I want them to build those
Yeah.
relationships because that's what's going to be able to keep the family together long term. And when you're talking about leaving a legacy, the more connections, when you hear like Rockefeller or Kennedy, right? It's because they have a culture within their family that they've established. They've established family values. They've established family principles and a constitution, right? All of these things to ensure that their legacy is able to live on. But it's rooted in values, right? It's rooted in work ethic and hard work, right? Like all of those intangible things. People so much think, oh, it's the money. Oh, they got all this money. And that's why they do. No, they
Mm-mm.
understand that like the family unit is like the right. You can't have a great nation if you don't have
Mm-mm.
great states, right? You can't have a great state if you don't have great cities. You can't have great cities if you don't have great families, right? And so, like, it really always comes back down to that family unit and making
Yeah.
sure that we're investing in our family relationships, investing in, you know, our family values. I actually had a meeting this past Sunday with my parents, my siblings, my sister, she's married, so her husband was there, and then the children were there, you know, kind of in and out. But it's just like building those bonds is so
Yeah.
valuable and invaluable
Mhm.
to creating that legacy for your family. But it starts with, you know, having those conversations. So we talked about like healthcare directives, making sure that you have a power of attorney, right? Because
Yep.
people don't know things like this. Like if once you're 18 years old, mama can't make the decision about what happens to you just because she your mama. You
Right.
18, you're legally an adult, right? So you don't have a guardian. And so if you don't have a healthcare directive, they don't know what to do in the event that something happens and you can't take it, right? You have a critical illness or a chronic illness or a
Yeah.
terminal illness. Like nobody can make that decision for you if you don't have certain things in place. And so I had
Right.
that conversation with my family. Like, we need to plan ahead for these things and put these things in place to ensure that our family has, like I like to call it, a wall of protection around us
Yeah.
so that it doesn't fall down, like that house doesn't crumble, right? You can't be building something and you don't have a strong foundation because it can all fall
Right.
apart. And so planning
Absolutely.
ahead is setting that foundation in place.
Yeah. And also just to have that conversation, like, where are you? Where is your
Mm-hmm.
thinking about future wise? Or, you know, my mom sister just passed,
Mm.
and she, it's not easy when you lose a close, biological sister.
Yeah.
It's not easy when you lose anybody, even your dog.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that you had a conversation with them before they departed. You had a good time with them so that you have that memory imprinted, like, oh, I remember when we had so and so, and not just I can't remember the last time I even saw her.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just to have those conversations, even if it was something that um you just didn't it was something you fell out about, and
Yeah.
you never talked about it and
Resolved
said,
it.
"Hey,
Yeah.
girl, I don't know what happened, to where we just lost touch with each other, but I want to make amends. How can
Yeah.
we make this right, or how can we fix this? Because we're human. Everybody say things they don't mean or in the heat of a moment, but that shouldn't take away years
Yeah.
of a relationship. Like, you should have a gathering where everybody is there and not just, oh, Katie can't come because she fell out with so and so and so.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
get
We
what I'm
gotta
saying?
deal
Because
with
at
those.
the end
Yeah,
of
we
the
gotta
day, we
deal with
got
those
to do better.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
gotta be
have to
willing
do
to
better.
confront them because they're not gonna go away, right? And you don't want to live with
Right,
that regret that I never
right,
said what I needed to, or I never resolved it, or we never reconciled. Like, you, while you
right.
have
You,
death in your body, while you have, right, go ahead and deal with it, face it,
yeah,
because the only way
yeah,
that you can change it and make it better, you got to be willing to deal with it.
yeah.
And
Because
that to me
family
is
is
also a lesson that you teach your children, right? Like, conflict resolution, you got to face it. Don't,
yeah.
my daughter
You
earlier
have
today
to.
had an issue, and I was like, you got two options. You can go back and speak up for yourself, or you can
Mhm.
stay here at the house. But what you won't do is you're not going to run away, right? You have a
Right,
choice.
right,
But running away
right.
is not an option because you'll
Mhm.
have the habit, like you talked about earlier. You'll develop a habit of running away, and that's not what I want to instill in you. You got to be right. It might be tough. You may not like right. It might be uncomfortable, but when you speak up for yourself, I promise you, you're going to feel better,
Yeah, and you
regardless of how
stand
they
for what you
respond.
believe in. Like,
Yeah.
you stand for, okay, this is what I value. I value family. So whatever I need to do, I'm gonna do, by any means necessary to get my family together. That is what you stand by. That's your belief. And you have to, I mean, sometimes you have to be the bigger person because everybody not gonna do it. And
Mhm.
I'm teaching my kids, like, even when they have a argument or a disagreement, I have them where we all come in the living room and we vent. It's not no fight match, no punch match. It's, hey, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah,
Because it's too much
tension.
animosity, hostility,
Yeah.
some going on in the air. Now I don't like it. And it's like all I'm come in like this. And it's like, okay, so what happened? And then I teach them, in anyone speaking, you be quiet, because in the midst of that person speaking, you may miss something
Yeah,
because you're not tuning in to what they're saying. So I teach them to be active listeners.
that's
I
good.
admit I didn't used to be an active listener. I did not. I did not. That's something I had to learn you know, through the years. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to not fix it, but listen.
Yeah.
It's a difference when you're trying to fix it, because when you fixing it while they talking, you got ideas. But
Mhm.
if you listening, you're like toned in. You're tuned in to what they saying. Your little antennas like, oh, okay, I hear you, and you're
Yeah.
not trying to fix. So what I've learned to do and this is something I because usually I just be like, when they're like, oh girl, I need to talk to you. Okay, girl, what's up? And I'm like fix it mode. Okay, what you need me to do? What you need? But now I say before we have a conversation, and this is something I've looked at on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it never clicked with me. Like as women, we try to fix everything. We're the mom, we're the budgeter, we're the social worker, we're the counselor. We we just got all these hats. And when you learn how to say, I can't speak on that, that's none of my business.
Mm.
It registers. Like it's not on you to fix it. They're coming to you for you to listen. So any conversation I have now, I say, before you start talking, do you want me to fix it or you want me to listen? Because if you want me to listen, I'm just gonna shut down. I'm just gonna listen. I'm not gonna say nothing. When you ask me, I ain't gonna say nothing. But
Yeah.
if you want me to fix it, then I can go into my fix it mode, but not only just fix it, but give like positive energy to it, not
Mm-hmm.
negative, because I
Yeah.
don't gossip. I just speak life into the situation because I've learned when you add to other people's vent, it doesn't make it any better.
Yeah. You
So
adding
you have
fuel
to
to the
spin it
fire.
around and you say, okay, that happened, but it's not permanent. It's
Yeah.
temporary. So what can we do to get out of the permanent phase that you think it is? Because, everything is not traumatic. Everything is not, it's all about how you see it, how you receive it, how you interpret it. And I had to learn that because I used to take everything personal. Seriously, Majida. I took everything personal. You talk about me? For real? You don't like me? But it was my interpretation.
Yeah.
It wasn't theirs. They didn't even have a clue. They just thought I was just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, ain't nobody talking about you, girl. What are you talking about? But it depends on your mentality and where you are in life that you take stuff not being constructive criticism, which is positive to make you better,
Yeah.
but you take it as an attack and not as positive. And I had to learn that it's only the way I perceived it at that time because I was already in negative thoughts anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
what they said, it just triggered the negative thoughts I had already had. Whereas if I had have been meditating and then I had that conversation, it just rolled off me like a duck.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
And
I
that's
think that's
something that you have to like you have to channel yourself.
and
You
that
have
speaks
to.
to like listening to understand versus listening to respond. Like oftentimes people are like, oh, they want to jump in and say
Yep.
their 2 cents.
Mhm.
But it definitely requires vulnerability, like just being transparent. I know that's
Mhm.
something that, especially through this whole social media world that we're in now, where like I was a person who, look, you couldn't get me on camera. I didn't want to be in front of the camera, behind the camera, right? I ain't want to talk to nobody. I didn't want to be, I would hop on and off social media just to be like check in or wish somebody happy birthday, but like I wasn't really involved in, engaged with it. But I've learned that
Mhm.
like sometimes you have something you have a gift or something that's been given to you or something that you've learned, and it's selfish not to share with other people because you don't know who could be impacted by that. And so
Absolutely.
I had to get out of my own way, go ahead and hop on the camera, right? I still ain't got into the whole professionalism thing. Like I come as I am, right? This me, right? I am
Yeah.
comfortable in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Um, but that doesn't change like my heart, right? Like the information that I
No,
share
and it
is
doesn't change your value. Like you're
right,
still of
exactly.
value. It doesn't matter. The outskirts really doesn't matter. It's what's on the inside. It's the character that matters. People come
Absolutely.
on camera as putting on a facade like, oh, this is me,
Like
but
I got it
it's
all
not
together.
you.
Yeah,
Right. And I don't have it
yeah.
all together. I'm a hot
I
mess.
don't.
But
I promise.
I I learned to make myself better and not care about what other people think, because I can look like this one day and then the next day no makeup, no nothing, but I'm still of value.
Yeah,
Because of what I
and that's
have
good.
doesn't make me less, I'm no better than nobody. The same way, you can change your look, the same way other people can do the same thing. My whole
Yeah,
thing is character. Is
yeah.
is about you. I don't care what you're wearing, whatever. If we can get down and we can connect, it's your character that
Yeah.
I look at as value. Everybody is of value, no matter what people say. Oh, she this and that. No, she's of value
Mm-hmm.
because you're talking about her and she's of value.
Yeah, because that
So
value don't come from man. My value is
no, no,
your
no, no,
value is
no. That's
instilled.
what
And
that's what they get
unfortunately,
it twisted.
yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, people get caught up in that, like trying to impress other people. Like, I ain't here to impress nobody. Only one I gotta impress is right the one who created me. So
there you go.
at the end of the day, if
And you are a masterpiece, baby. So,
so, yeah,
I really enjoyed this. This is nice. This is actually my first time actually doing a live in a
really.
while.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, look, I'm definitely looking forward to because I enjoy these candid conversations like this because it's not prepared, right? I ain't have this whole list of right. Like, look, I come as
Right.
I am, but I enjoy having
Right.
conversations with individuals just like yourself who are doing the things that can impact and help other people, right? You're taking some steps in your own life that can inspire somebody else. All the times we're looking at people who are so far away from us and we don't see ourselves, we're like, oh my gosh, like I'm never gonna get there. But when you see somebody who's just like you, right, and they have a certain mindset, right? We talked about your value, right? Your mindset is what can be attracted to people. Your mindset, and when they see, okay, she's a mom, she's got 4 children, she's working a corporate job, she's got her own business, like that can inspire somebody who's just like
Yeah.
you. And similar for myself, right? I'm like, all right, I'm a single mom. I got 2 children. I got a full time job. I'm running this business. I got my hands in all these different pots. And I knew that there were
Mhm.
other parents out there like me who wanted better for their families. They wanted to be able to leave that legacy. They wanted to be able to better position their children. And I'm like, well, I have a skill set that can help them. And so
Yeah.
it's selfish of me not to share that, right? Just for yourself, like even for yourself, right? You have a business and just what you're doing through how you're living your life, it can be an
Mhm.
example or model for somebody else. And so I definitely think we got to have more conversations like this and highlight, right? A lot of times people look at,
Mhm.
at social media for the highlight reel, but this is what we need to
Right.
highlight. We need to highlight
Yeah.
everyday people like you and me who are just doing what we have to do and what we need to do for our families, but we're also thinking ahead, we're planning ahead, we're preparing that
Yeah.
foundation to build a solid future for our family. So I appreciate you joining and hopping in with us. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, Pastor, and how to find you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm on Instagram, Encore lowercase ENCORE 21 lowercase X. If you have any questions or anything that you wanted to ask, my Gmail is Encore 21 all lowercase X dash exclusive creations period LLC at gmail.com. I welcome your questions. I welcome your feedback. Um,
Lovely.
I'm not going to not respond because I'm a communicator. So I look forward to answering anyone's questions.
All right, give me that email address again. Encore21x.
Dash it's X dash KLUSIVEKREAT like Thomas IONS period LLC at gmail.com.
All right, I'm gonna put them up together.
Okay.
Hold on. If I can get both of them. IG is Encore G1X. Okay, so that's both of them. Your IG at Encore21X and your email address
Yes.
exclusivecreations.llc at gmail.com. So, Pasha from Atlanta, Georgia, thank you so much for being with us this evening. I have to figure out a name for this. I was going to call it the Professional Parents Podcast, but it's still in the works, right? It ain't got to be formal or right.
It'll come to you.
I'm gonna just flow with it. Yeah. But thank you so much. I definitely look forward to collaborating with you in the near future and seeing you this coming Sunday, right? I'm gonna go ahead and put a plug in for Womb this Sunday for women entrepreneurs out there. We have an event this Sunday called the Empowered Experience, right? It's not just an event, it's an experience, and you don't know until you've been there. So you can register for that event. I'll put that in the comments how you can register for that.
Do not want to miss it.
That's right. That's right. And so, hey, if you really want to get in touch with Pasha, definitely reach out to her. She has some phenomenal designs. Go ahead and show them what you got on your shirt. I can see a little bit of it. I ain't see the whole thing. Show them what you got on your shirt.
Okay. You can't really see.
That's hot. Wait a minute. Step to the other side. Yeah, that way. What does it say?
See it? Oh, Lord. Hold on.
Yeah, step the other way.
Other way?
Well, I guess to your right. It looks like to your right, but it might be to your left.
Oh, goodness. Put them funnies on. Okay. Let me see.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
All right. What does that say? My daughter wants to see it.
Loving the skin that I'm in.
Oh, that's hot. Loving the skin that I'm
Thank
in.
you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
Mommy,
Thank you.
That would be cool.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. And if you want to read,
working on kid stuff too.
say, oh, you said what?
I'm working on kid stuff too.
Okay. Let them know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Pasha, for being with us. We got a training on through Womb, so I'm gonna try to hop on that and catch the rest of that training. But thank you all for tuning in. For those that have been with us, or for those who will see this later,
Yes, thank you so much, you guys.
Share
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Najita.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.